Hello, my fellow neurotics. This is Hal with another episode of Neuronymous. I am just absolutely floored. This is a lot has happened in the last few days. Well, not a lot. I mean, I'm very excited to say that I am now on Spotify. So that's really super awesome. That's gonna it means a lot more people are gonna be listening to this. That's great. I'm excited. Hopefully, people will enjoy this, and not only that, I now have at the urging of an old friend named Dusty Grant, who's very talented musician back in Nebraska. He urged me to create a Facebook page, so that's what I did, and I have been getting many likes, which is great. I started it pretty much exactly at 6 p.m. last night, and I've got like 68 or 69 likes, and I'm not trying to brag. I'm just like, wow. Like, it's like that whole you love me, you really love me type feeling. I feel good. It makes me feel good that I have that support. It's awesome. The bad news is I had to remove the music from several of the first podcasts episodes because, they. In all fairness, I didn't think that that my podcast was going to get as big as it's gotten. Not that I'm like Mr. Showbiz or anything like that, but I didn't think it was going to expand to the extent that it has. So, I was like, I want to get on Spotify. So, and they asked me, and one of the stipulations is that, all of the music you have is not copyrighted. So, oops. Oopsie daisy. So I had to go back, and if you were interviewed and I played a theme song just for you for an interview to segue, I'm sorry, but that is now gone. For instance, Esther Marcella wanted me to play I Touch Myself, and I played Fire and Rain for by James Taylor for Caleb Braun Schultz. That is no more. So, from now on, the music that you hear that is copyright free will be the music that will be used forevermore, unless somebody wants to, I guess you could say, donate like some guitar licks that I can use to open and segue and end on. Because the stuff I have, it's not bad. It's very like, meh. But, and that's the thing. I don't want my podcast to be meh. I want it to be like, I want it to pop. I want it to pop, for fuck's sake. God damn it. It needs to pop. Anyway, I'm just tickled pink. So, in other news, I was talking to my mom, and I talked to my mom and dad about, hey, have you been listening to the podcast? Because I'm narcissistic like that, and I need to get I need validation, I need their constant approval. It's just my own insecurity. I've already kind of made peace with the fact that my wife probably will never listen to any of these, because she, like, again, she already knows the shit that I talk about, and she doesn't, she's heard it a million times before, so why does she need to listen to it? We've talked about this. I'm moving on. So I asked my parents, and they listened to the episode where I interviewed the lovely, amazing, wonderful Joanna Kay, who has had many, many careers. And my mom was just like, it was good. And I was like, okay, you want to elaborate on that? And she goes, it makes me sick. It makes me sick to know that you had so many problems with drugs. It makes me ill that I have about hearing about it. And I'm just like, well, Mom, it's like, it is what it is. I mean, it happened. And look, I'm doing great. I have a great life. She goes, but it just makes me ill. Maybe we could have done something. And I'm like, no. You could not have done anything. Based on the reaction I got when they found out, I'm pretty sure I remember the night that my fall from grace day, the day before my clean date, my mom was just like, oh, if I could just hit you right now, I just want to hit you right now, you know. And honestly, at that point, I was like, anything would have been better than just the scorn and the sadness and the dread and the fear and just all those emotions and all that judgment. I would have, if I could have just, somebody could have just hit me, like just punched me in the face several times. That would have been better than the reaction that I got when it was found out that I was doing cocaine and among a myriad of other substances. So that being said, no. There is nothing, Mom, if you're listening to this, there is nothing you could have done. We just have to, it's that line from Brokeback Mountain, if you can't fix it, you got to learn to stand it, which I think is extremely good advice. I mean, it's not really advice, it's just, you can't dwell on it, if you can't, you just got to learn to, I didn't want to be, I didn't choose to be an addict. I don't think anybody really does. It's just the way it is. I honestly, it's just a perfect storm that happens, and there's just no way out of it until you're ready to let it go. And just embrace the storm and be okay with it, and do the work the steps and start going to meetings and start going to and go to rehab, as they say in the movie Walk Hard. You need to go to rehab. You do. I mean, for me, like, it was, going to rehab. It was I was outpatient, so I was never. I was gonna do the whole inpatient thing, but my wife got injured, and at the very last second, I was like, no, I can't leave you if you're as injured as you are. So I am going to I will do outpatient, because she gave me a choice. She said divorce or rehab. I chose rehab. So I did the outpatient. I did the outpatient thing. So it ended up working well, and simultaneously I started going to meetings, and I got my sponsor, who Dave M, who is just like he's like another father to me. I owe a lot to him. He's an amazing sponsor, and he is just a wonderful father and a great friend. And I'm blessed to have him, and I'm blessed that he was willing to work with me. But anyway, today we have a guest that I always feel like I get on the wrong side of him. I remember we were at a meeting once, and I know we're not technically supposed to talk about what happens in meetings, but we were at a 12-step meeting. He's a fellow 12-stepper, just like me, and he's also a therapist. I remember, like, somebody said something, and I kind of just jumped in, and our guest, his name is Darcy Wennes. He just was like, no crosstalk, and I was like, whoa, shit. And that was the last time I ever went to that meeting. He wasn't wrong. Really not supposed to crosstalk in a 12-step meeting. You do your share, you say what you need to say, and then you move on, and somebody else speaks, and then they, it's just the way it works. Some meetings are looser than others. Apparently that was not a loose meeting. That was a very tight meeting. But that's okay. There needs to be order in the chaos, as it were. Darcy, he's a really good guy. I remember there was a Halloween party at SMRC, the Southern Minnesota Recovery Center, that is no longer open. There was a Halloween party, and I just sat next to him, and we had a really good conversation. I don't remember what we talked about, but I remember I was dressed as like it was a really shitty costume. I was trying to be the Crow, and I had this really black, really long black leather trench coat. And I don't remember what Darcy was wearing, but we just had a really good. It wasn't like like this super deep conversation, but we chit chatted, and I got to like the guy. And he and we rib each other a little bit on movies. He cannot stand the movie Mother by Darren Aronofsky. Just can't fucking stand it. And me, I love that movie. And if that, I don't know what that says about me. I get it. I got the darkness of it. I got, it's not an easy movie to watch. But I remember Darcy, when I wrote my review, my glowing review of it. I seem to write a lot of glowing reviews. First broke had Hacksaw Ridge, and now Mother, glowing reviews. So anyway, he on Facebook, he goes, somebody needs to I think you need to get another white key tag, and I just got so angry about it. I was like, don't ever talk about my recovery like that. I take it very seriously, and then it kind of, it didn't really escalate any further than that. But I remember saying, joking about, about another movie that I liked. I said, hey, I might need a white key tag after this. So, and then, he kind of responded with, hey, I take issue with that because, you kind of made me feel like shit for saying that you need to get a white key tag when you like Mother. I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like I have to walk on eggshells with him because he's a really nice guy. And he was very, very supportive of me when I came out as being bisexual on Facebook. He told me, he wrote a comment saying how proud he was of me. And so he's an amazing guy. He's a great guy, and he's got a lot of experience. And, and I'm really excited to have him on the show. And, I will be bringing him out in just a few moments. So, Darcy, Wennes, come on down. Darcy, Wennes.
Yes.
How are we doing?
I'm good.
Good. So you were just you just got here. You were in Fairmount.
Yeah, I'm down in Fairmount on Fridays.
Fridays, okay. And you're a therapist.
That's correct.
Okay.
So what I do is I go into nursing homes and assisted livings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I provide therapy to the clients.
Okay.
So I'm at a different home every day.
Really?
So
and now you're in my home.
Yeah. Now I'm here.
And I can always use some therapy.
That's what a lot of people say.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just start it. Let's just jump right in.
Right.
Mother. So, here's the thing.
Maybe we should give reference to what we're talking about.
Yeah, I did.
You already set it up.
Set it up.
All right.
I said that we have an ongoing sort of debate about it.
Yeah.
So I had the privilege when I watched it, somebody explained it to me in the middle of it what was going on. So
okay.
Had I not had that explanation, I probably would have said this is a shitty movie.
Okay, but, so then explain that to me. Nobody gave me.
Nobody gave you an explanation. Okay, so here's the deal.
I'll tell you before you give me the explanation.
Yeah.
So to me, it just seemed like cinematic masturbation. It seemed like Darren Aronofsky decided, hey, here's a movie I want to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's a cool concept. It's critically going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
Its box office going to get destroyed. Yeah. But because
Jennifer Lawrence or no Jennifer Lawrence.
Well, right, but aren't they dating?
They were, and then they broke up. I listened to Mark Maron's podcast, and she said they are no more.
Well, maybe after that movie.
After that movie, that probably fucked it up, didn't it?
So, but they had good, they had good star power enough to even make a decent amount of money on DVD.
Right.
But, so I don't mind. I love the fact that, we're like, what the heck is going on? I mean, people leave the house, and then she goes out there and it's just a field.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, where are we at? Are we in a dream? Are we? So I understand the concept of Javier Bardem's character.
Yeah.
I I interpreted him as basically like the devil in a way, and that he basically uses these women as his muses, and you know, I suppose we should say spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen the movie.
If they haven't seen the movie,
it's too late.
It's too, you know what? It's too late, and you know what? They've had at least a year to fuck them.
Yeah. Okay.
Just fuck them.
Well, you know, not to get, and you'll have to keep me on task here because I can get off on tangents.
No, hey.
But it's like Game of Thrones, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you watch an episode and you can't talk about it because everybody's like, no, I watch it on DVD and it's not out for 6 months. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I'll give you a week or so.
Yeah.
Before I tell you Jon Snow dies.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So anyway, with Mother, the ending, like I have no. It went into such a chaotic clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Of
that was like my worst nightmare.
It was, and it just seemed to me like, from a creative standpoint, did Darren Aronofsky write that movie too?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so it seemed like at one point, to me, that he just said, "Okay, I'm just going to throw in a bunch of stuff that shocked the hell out of people for no reason."
Yeah,
and you know, get a baby ripped in half.
That part got me.
Yeah,
like that. Just the sound. It was just like, and you know, and I'm sure you know this. Amanda and my wife and I, we've been trying to have a child. So, for me, that was hard to watch. That, I mean, I will even give you that. That was a whole level of fuckery. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't like it at all. So what explanation were you given to explain this mess?
Here's the deal. So the house is Earth, okay, and Jennifer Lawrence represents Mother Earth, and Javier Bardem is God, and basically everybody keeps praying. Everybody's like they've got cards. And once he has created this new creation, essentially all these people, which is man,
right? Basically,
it's very biblical. Like Ed Harris and Michelle Pfeiffer are Adam and Eve. He tells them, don't touch that crystal thing. Don't touch. That's the apple. Right?
Oh, all right.
And then they break it, and he's like, he gets all fucking pissed off about it.
Right.
And then they leave. They're banished, and all these people just come on and just fucking destroy the whole house, and it just goes through this whole basically the whole human comedy, basically.
Okay.
And by the end of and by the end of the movie, it has a very. Did you ever read the Dark Tower series by Stephen King?
I'm not a big reader.
Okay, that's all right. Well, here's the thing. It's very much like she finds the whole movie is just like, I think the whole point of it is she represents like hope, and the thing is it just keeps happening and happening and happening until maybe something changes. Maybe man doesn't touch that crystal, that's in there. And look at that.
Your dog likes me, I guess.
Maybe he likes cigarette smoke. It seems like all the people who smoke, like he seems to dig.
All right.
Yeah. Well, Jasper, get over here. Get over here. All right. See, I don't even cut that stuff out.
That's fine.
It's all part of the thing.
Keep it real.
Yeah. So anyway, I and here's the thing. Like, I knew as soon as I wrote that review that people were gonna be like, "Are you fucking nuts?"
Right.
I know there's a movie that I love that people just are just like, why? Why do you love it? It's called Synecdoche, New York. It's directed by Charlie Kaufman, who did being John Malkovich, and he directed this.
Right.
And it's really depressing, and it's basically like a movie. And I'm not going to describe it because if I describe it, it's just not going to make any sense, and this is going to be a shitty podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but no, I it's like one of my favorites, and people are just like, what does it mean? And sometimes for me, like I think in another life I was like an abstract painter, like artist. You know what I mean? Like because I don't mind movies that just are open for complete interpretation, and I'm sure you probably are that way. You probably don't mind that too. But yeah, Mother, I can understand. Like I said, that scene when the baby gets snapped in half or whatever. And then she sees what's happened to the baby. Like that was hard to watch for me because, like I said, I mean, when you're trying to have a child and you see, and you see, all this stuff happening in the world with, kids, and it's just, ugh.
Right.
So when that happened in the movie, my opinion didn't change of it. I still love it, but it's not a movie that I'm gonna be like, hey, Mom and Dad, when you guys come into town, we'll watch Mother. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
My dad would be like, my dad. First of all, my dad would probably fall asleep because that's what he does with most movies. But yeah.
Yeah. I was traveling this week. I was down in San Antonio for training, and I was looking at some Netflix in the airport. I was on a layover, and
Right.
and I watched. There's a series on Netflix. I want to say "Dying Too Soon."
Okay.
It's like an 8-part series of all these different actors and people that died too soon, and
It's
so
a
they.
pick-me-up story.
Yeah, exactly. So they had Philip Seymour Hoffman and
Oh.
so I was watching the one about River Phoenix, right?
Oh God, what a waste.
Yeah, so I was a huge fan of River Phoenix. We're
he's so talented.
about the same age, and I wanted to be an actor for a while, right?
Did
I went
you?
out. Yeah, I was out in New York for
I had
3
no
years.
idea about this.
Sure. I was out there.
We're gonna jump. We're gonna go back and forth.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a Quentin Tarantino timeline,
Yeah.
non-linear
Yeah.
situation.
No, I was out in New York for 3 years trying to be an actor and did some commercials and got my SAG card, and then
Oh, you got a SAG card.
yeah,
Holy shit.
it's on hiatus. But
Oh.
when I was out in LA, I was able to do some background work, SAG background work, and I'm
Yeah.
not going to go into detail the difference between
Yeah.
what a union background person is versus just a regular cattle call.
Well,
Go stand in that pen till we need you type of background.
we'll
extra.
spare the listeners that ordeal.
Yeah, so I was out there for 5 years working in the art department, set
No
dressing,
shit. Huh.
trying to shop my script, and
You wrote a script.
yeah.
I've written a couple scripts. No,
Have you?
Yeah, I've talked about this in my podcast. I wrote one about addiction before I was actually in an addiction. I was like,
Right.
I've said this, and I'm sure at this point I don't give a shit what my listeners think. If they're gonna listen, they're gonna listen.
Right.
So here's the
If
deal.
we've lost them, we've lost them already.
Exactly. I mean,
Right.
and I'm on Spotify, so fuck them. Right.
I saw that post
I
last
was
night,
so excited.
and I was like, "Holy!" I had a little bit of an anxiety. I was
Really?
like, "I guess I'm on Spotify."
You're gonna be on Spotify now.
Awesome.
Isn't that great?
That is cool.
You'll have
I'm happy for you.
Thank you very much.
I'm happy to see this
I
this
know-
this growth procession. I don't know what time I'm
Well,
trying to say, but
no, it's okay. You'll have to put a pin in what I was talking about because I don't remember
Yeah.
what it was, but we'll get back to it at some
Yeah.
point. But like
you wrote a script
I wrote it, yeah. So I wrote a
about
script
addiction.
about addiction, and I had never touched a drug in my whole life.
Right.
So I had all these people saying, "Oh, fuck you, Hal! You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know anything about addiction." And so I was in my minor was theater or secondary concentration, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
And I was given the opportunity to direct a scene in it, and it was about it involved drug abuse and whatever. And at the end, this girl comes up to me and she's like, "How that was amazing." And I'm like, "Well, thank you very much, appreciate it." And then she was like, "No, you don't understand." And I was like, I guess I don't understand.
Right.
Like she just approaches me and she's entering my bubble,
Right.
And she goes, "I am a recovering junkie."
Sure.
And she goes, "And your words were so real to me," and
Right.
like it just, and the influence for that movie was a movie called Magnolia.
Sure.
Which is one of my all-time
Absolutely.
favorites. Yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, exactly. And that was kind of what influenced me to write a movie about. I like movies about redemption and hope, and
Yeah.
But
Well, speaking of Philip Seymour Hoffman.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she just grabs me and hugs me, and I'm just like, okay, all that shit that I was, people were giving me about not being an addict. I mean, not knowing anything about addiction or drugs or whatever. It meant it all melted away to me because I was just like, it meant something to somebody. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's all the validation.
Well, and that's the beauty of art, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not gonna affect everybody the same way.
Yeah.
It's like I was gonna, quantify with myself. When people listen to this, by the end of it, there's going to be people that completely agree with me,
Mm-hmm.
or you, or completely disagree with me. I have one of those personalities where I very rarely get the middle of the road people.
Right.
I either have people that are like he is completely full of crap, or he's egotistical, or he's cocky.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. And then you've got the other people that are like, oh, well, that's just, it's a very fine line between confidence and passion and cockiness and selfishness.
Right.
I mean, they like go out to lunch together. They sit across in the same booth together sometimes. So anyway, what I was saying is, I'm watching this documentary about River Phoenix.
River Phoenix, yeah.
Right.
We totally. What happened?
I know. I'm bringing.
What happened?
I'm
bringing
implicating.
it back.
I'm implementing my therapist skills and getting us back on task. So I was in New York, and I went down to this like massive Lowe's Cineplex in downtown Manhattan.
Okay.
And I was going through some depression and anxiety, beginning of being an addict.
Yeah.
And I was just alone, right?
Right.
And
that sounds about right.
And you and I have talked about sexual issues.
Yeah.
I'm open and out, and you're open and out.
Yeah.
But at that time, I wasn't. Right. Early 20s.
Right.
So I went downtown and I saw My Own Private Idaho.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's a great movie. Oh, it's such a good movie.
Gus Van Sant.
Yeah.
And it just hit me.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I wanted to run out and be, a male prostitute.
Right.
But that River Phoenix would choose to do this role.
Yeah.
Of just a bunch of male hustlers.
Yeah.
And their struggles and their life.
Yeah.
And what dawned on me is I'm a guy who stays in the movie and sees all the credits.
Yeah.
Because I worked on over 35 films. So I know the work everybody puts in, right?
Yeah, every little.
But most people don't.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember
Unless it's Marvel.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Then you got to wait for the. Yeah, exactly. So I'm in this theater and there's about 6 of us in this movie.
Right.
Because it didn't. That's another art house movie that didn't make any money.
Right.
But somehow I was in the theater, and so I'm sitting there and the credits are rolling and nobody moved.
Right.
It was like everybody was just like stunned.
Yeah, that's how I was with Magnolia. But yeah.
Right. Like, what did I just see?
Yeah.
And it had a huge impact.
So,
but who else? I mean, besides you and me, maybe even know what My Own Private Idaho was,
exactly,
or who Gus Van Sant is, or so. That's why I appreciate us, right?
Exactly,
because we can nerd out on film.
Exactly, and the thing is, like, who does like you look at Mr. John Wick now, being in a movie like 20 years ago at least, about male prostitution. Nobody ever thought he'd be an action hero, I'm sure, when they first saw that movie. I mean...
Nobody thought he'd have a career after Bill and Ted.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. People give him shit about being an actor. I think he's actually a very effective actor.
In some roles.
I think he has to have the right director.
Well, he has to... He's kind of like... I'm not going to compare him to Jack Nicholson, so don't... I'm not making that comparison.
It's okay.
But some actors have to be... When they get cast into roles that fit them... then it works. I mean, you got like a Dustin Hoffman or, now generation, Ed Burns, or not Ed Burns.
Ed Norton.
Ed Norton, thank you.
Yeah.
Or Christian Bale.
Yeah.
People that will completely transform themselves into a role.
Yeah.
That's not Keanu Reeves. I don't think he has the talent for that.
No.
But The Matrix was amazing.
Right. And he fit the part perfectly. Anything where he doesn't have to talk very much.
Yeah. Well, and it just worked for him.
Yeah.
So, him doing Private Idaho, I think because it was such a small project, right?
Right.
And in the same series, just to bring this back again with this Netflix series of people we've lost too soon, Heath Ledger is one of those people.
Yeah.
So
like
you've got...
Club or something.
Yeah, you got... Yeah, a lot of 27ers. You got, Keanu Reeves and River Phoenix and My Own Private Idaho who play gay male prostitutes. Yeah. Doesn't have any box office acclaim, and they're fine. But then you've got Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal who do a Brokeback Mountain, and all of a sudden it's this explosion of antiphobic, homophobic crap.
Yeah.
And how are they ever going to live that down? And Jake Gyllenhaal has been fine.
Yeah.
It took him a while, a year or two. But now you've got people like Armie Hammer who just does Call Me By Your Name. Yeah. He gets nominated for an Oscar. And then moving on. Right. And then he does that piece of shit movie we just were talking about the other day.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Do Not Disturb or no.
Sorry to bother you. Fuck that movie.
Sorry to bother.
Fuck that movie. I'm so sorry.
And I hate the comparisons to Get Out.
Yeah.
It's not
I
even
know,
in the
I
same.
know.
It's not even in the same league.
Right. Because here's the thing with Get Out, and I'm gonna do what you just kind of said that you hate. Like with Get Out, like it didn't feel like it was trying hard. You know what I mean? It just
very natural.
flowed naturally, and the satire was there, and there was that underlying seedy, like just scary, like the very first scene, which actually happens to star the male lead of Sorry to Bother You, Stan Keith or Lakeith Stanfield or whatever.
When he gets abducted.
When he gets abducted. That's some scary shit, you know? And like the thing is, it was perfectly just realized and just, it was made it just flowed perfectly. And this, like,
and Alison Brie?
No,
not Alison
Williams.
Alison Williams, right. She was great. I mean, everybody was great.
The whole cast was good. Like,
and Jordan Peele, who knew?
Exactly, right.
Who knew he had that in him?
Speaking of Keanu.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the movie that he and Key and Peele did called Keanu, or like with the cat?
Yes.
Yes, I own that movie. My wife was like, "Why do you own that movie?"
I'm with you. I watched it, but I was just like, whatever. They're funny.
It's funny, but
it's not in a Get Out league at all.
Right.
So it's amazing. I love that. I love those kind of stories.
Yeah. Have you seen Mandy yet? That movie?
No.
Oh, check it out. It's one of those movies where you just have to kind of. A friend of mine said it perfectly. You just have to give yourself over to it, and either you're gonna go along for the ride or you're not. You know. But Nicolas Cage's that is Nicolas Cageiest. As I said.
And his 10th movie of the year.
10th movie of the year. Yeah, he's like the Stephen King of actors. Like he
just keeps pumping them out.
And here's the thing though. Like honestly, like as I said, people give him a lot of shit, but you know what? He's a good actor, and he's won an Oscar. But then again, there have been a lot of people that have won Oscars that probably shouldn't. I can't think of anybody right. But
that's a whole nother discussion.
But we're talking about sexuality. It's really weird. The movie that really for me struck the chord. I mean, that made me say, you know what, I like guys. Was The Crying Game.
Okay.
Because like honestly, by the time The Secret was out, and I think at this point,
did you get to watch it before The Secret got blown or not?
I did not. It was told to me.
I fortunately was able to see it.
Yeah, because
everybody was saying, "Oh, there's this big secret," but I didn't know what it was.
Right. See, that's the thing. I didn't see it until it was about 10 years old. You know what I mean? And at that point, but here's the thing. It was still like I didn't know which character it was. You know what I mean? So when it actually ended up being Dill or Jay Davidson, I was like, "Whoa, fuck, oh shit!" But here's the thing. This is what made me like. And this, it really, I mean, the power of film for me, I mean, it just, like, I was just like, by the time I figured, it was revealed, I was like, I don't care. He's fucking hot.
Right.
I'm extremely attracted to him, and that, it wasn't like all of a sudden like, hey, I'm bisexual now.
Right.
It opened the door, for me to just think to myself, what about that? Like what? Maybe there's something to that. And I just, I can't say I've ever, when it comes to my experience with men, I've dated men, but it's just for me, like that movie just it opened up a door for me. Just like, and I don't know if my own Private Idaho. Would you say that's the movie that kind of opened up a door for you?
Well, I mean, it definitely was impactful.
Yeah,
for sure. But I had my feelings.
Yeah.
Shoot, first recognized 13, 14 years old.
I'm sure I probably did too way earlier because when you're little, like you don't know. I remember. All right, funny story. I remember I was watching a episode of I think Three's Company or something like that.
Right.
Or I don't know. Maybe it was my sister.
So
Sam.
is Jack gay or no? In Three's Company. And that's the underground theory, right?
The whole show is pretty gay.
Yeah, I mean it does have those undertones, but
it does. But I don't know if it was
Like,
that.
how could you live with Suzanne Summers and not have sex with her?
Right, exactly.
Right,
No,
I got you.
actually, I was more of a Joyce DeWitt. Janice DeWitt. Is it Joyce or Janice DeWitt?
I don't know. Everybody's got either Marianne or Ginger.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
yeah. But no, I remember.
Or the professor, whatever way you go. Gilligan.
I remember, for me, or maybe it was an episode of My Sister Sam. I don't know. It was, but anyway. But I remember female character was on a date with a guy, and like all of a sudden the guy goes, "I'm gay," and like it just got this huge laugh.
Yeah.
Just like this like people were just like, I mean, I think one of those episodes where this has been filmed in front of a film studio audience,
right?
Where they'd always say it at the end of the Cosby Show or whatever,
Yeah.
And so I thought because I'll do anything for a laugh. I will throw myself under the fucking bus, right?
Right.
So I had this girl, a gal pal over. I'm like 6 or something like that, and I say to her, within earshot of my mom, I say, "I'm gay," and my mom was like grabs me by the arm and like pulls me, and she's like, "You can't say that. That's no."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh, what? I don't understand it, guys." It was
How old were you at the time?
I think I was 5 or 6.
Okay. So you felt like you were just doing it for shock value, not necessarily
right, for shock value. But here's the thing, though. I had experiences when I was little, and I think most kids kind of have that like you show me yours, I'll show you mine type situations that happen, when they're younger. I think,
right,
or maybe I'm totally wrong, but
right.
I know that I did. And what's really weird is the fact that I remember all of the whole experiences, and yet I have a friend who I don't think listens to this, and I won't, and I'm not going to throw them, they
who cares?
Right, exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And so I remember it, but it seems that they blocked it out, and that's okay. That's
like
okay.
my ex-wife. She had all kinds of clues, but for some reason,
it didn't hit her.
Yeah, not until. Well, anyway, go ahead. Finish your story.
Yeah. So so anyway, somehow they've blocked it off, and it's just not a thing. And for me, like, it meant a lot, And I think getting back to the crying game, which it all comes back to the crying game apparently.
Right.
Like it didn't just open up a door, but it made me remember those moments when I was younger, and I was just like, like, and that's okay. I don't, I don't want to like implicate anybody, and and I certainly don't want to like make any like. I'm very limited in my experience with men.
Right.
And the thing is, there are so many people out there that'll be like, well, then how do you know you're bisexual, or how do you know you're gay if you've never been with a woman, or blah 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 blah. And to me, I'm just like, my question to them is, well, before you had sex with a woman, didn't you know that you were attracted to women?
Right.
That to me, that's just. I mean, I don't understand why there's that. People just don't understand that logic.
Well, I don't. I think the biggest, with my own personal and professional experience.
Yes.
Therapizing is, a word I just made up, right?
So
therapizing people that have struggled through this, right?
Yeah.
But then attaching my own personal experience. I don't like labels.
Right.
And I really can't stand, so bisexual is probably the closest thing for people to understand.
Right.
But I was watching, did you watch The Deuce on HBO?
No, I know of it, though.
Okay.
I know. I'm so behind on everything.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry.
You're fine, Hal. It's okay. It's okay.
You're therapizing me now.
Okay, I'll stop. I know, I did that for a joke. But on The Deuce, there's a character. He's married, has wife and kids back in wherever, Brooklyn or wherever. And a male prostitute approaches him, and he says, "Do you want to go upstairs?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay."
Right.
And so they go up and they have sex, and the prostitute's like, "Where are you going now?" And he's like, "I'm going back home to my wife and kids."
Yeah.
And of course, it's the typical, do they know? And you're kidding yourself.
Yeah.
And why don't you just be honest with yourself about who you are?
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm sexual.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm sexual. So I enjoy what I whatever in the moment I need to enjoy. So he didn't say he was bisexual.
Yeah.
He just said he was sexual. And I identify more with that than having to put some sort of label on it.
Yeah, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
No, I totally get it.
I don't have, literally and figuratively a filter.
Yeah.
So when I say literally, it means I'm a hedonist, right?
Yeah.
And I know that makes it sound bad because a hedonist is basically pleasure seeking, right?
Right.
You
That's
can
the
translate it to
theory,
joy seeking, happiness seeking,
Right.
whatever it is. So I don't have the ability to be in any kind of situation where I can look at a male or a female,
Right.
and I think a lot of that is deprogramming myself
Right.
of any sort of spiritual Christian, legal, societal norms, societal mores,
Right.
bullshit that
Right.
we all get inundated with in our whole lives.
Sure.
And so I had to deprogram myself of all that.
Yeah.
And then when you come to a point where you're like, okay, I know what this is.
Right.
Being bisexual is not fun.
No.
Because
Not at all.
you don't get to pick a side.
Right.
It'd be much easier if I was gay.
Right. Oh.
Because then you could just be like, hey, everybody, I'm gay.
Right.
Done and over with.
Yeah.
Or,
get
hey,
it.
everybody, I'm straight. Done and over with. But
Yeah.
when you are whatever you want to call it, sexual,
Yeah.
bisexual,
You
there
get
was
the whole
I went
fence sitter
through.
thing.
Well, not so much a fence sitter, but you're ostracized really on both sides.
Yeah, you are.
You know what I
I
mean?
was.
Straight people, whatever. And so it led to a lot of depression, anxiety, even a suicide attempt for me.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Well,
Well, how would I know that? But
well, that's why we're here, right?
that's why we're here.
So, and then recovery shortly followed soon after. And because I had to get my mental health straight, you
Sure.
know. But, when I actually, Facebooked myself this revelation,
Mm-hmm.
which wasn't a revelation, it was something I knew since I was 14.
Right. Right.
But I went through like 30 some years of being in a closet.
Yeah.
And to me, not being in the closet about what my sexual preferences were,
Mm-hmm.
but about who I am
Right.
as a person.
Right.
Like, I can't be completely me. I always had to have some filter on about, what the pitch of my voice is, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Like
I
when I'm
totally get
around
it.
my dad, I got to go low,
Yeah.
or if, certain things that you always have this constant running filter. And isn't it exhausting?
It is exhausting.
It's completely exhausting.
Ugh.
So when I was able to basically just I didn't really make an announcement on Facebook, kind of like you did on Coming Out Day, which was, like I said, I'm proud of you.
I was honestly that was huge for me that you said that to me, and it like I actually cried when that remark posted.
Oh, well,
it. I'm gonna try not to get emotional now, but
right.
That meant so much to me.
Well,
that you would that I had your support, because as far as I know, I didn't I didn't know where you if
Yeah. No, I get it, and I mean, thank you, but I know where to unsheath that skin.
Right.
I know the difficulty to get to that point.
Right.
So for me, I wasn't so much like I need the whole world to know I'm going to make a post. This is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. Get used to it.
Yeah.
I was upset by policies, and I still am upset by policies with companies in North Carolina that can now openly and legally refuse and be homophobic cake bakers, whatever you want to call it. So I basically said in my post, hey, as a bisexual man, I don't agree with this and this and this, and our country is this and this and this, and our policies are, this and this and this. The end.
Right.
I just kind of slipped it in there.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be in the dark anymore.
Right.
I'd see posts from friends that were struggling with sexuality or some sort of causes, a rally in the park or whatever else, and I couldn't comment.
Right.
So I really did that post because I was telling myself, no, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
If I want to post something in support of, the LGBTQ community, which, by the way, don't get me started on the letters. That drives me absolutely batshit crazy. So anyway,
Right.
But since that point, it's an unbelievable feeling of how and why did I wait so long?
Right.
Because I'm just, it's not so much that I'm free to be my sexual me. Like I said before, I'm free to be myself.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it was very cathartic. And
Yeah.
and I'm happy for you that when you went through that hopefully you had the same catharsis.
It was, and like for me, like I, because I'm a married man, as you know, and like
Right.
I had this whole thing written out. I tend to write whole things of notes on my like of posts I would like to put on Facebook,
Right.
but don't,
Of course.
yeah.
Don't we need an alternate Facebook?
We need an alternate Facebook, and it's called MySpace, where that no longer exists.
Yeah, I loved MySpace. You get to
too.
edit your page, and you could have
cool.
a blog on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway,
and I it was coming out day, and I was just so tired.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like I like you said, it's exhausting. Because and the thing is, I told my wife a few months, maybe like I don't know, maybe 6 months before that I thought I was like pansexual or something like that.
well, we all try to figure out some label.
Right, exactly. Because I had a friend who was pansexual, and my wife didn't get it, and that's okay.
Right.
It's not for her to get or not get. It's about our own journey, right?
Right.
So anyway, but and at one point I said, would it make it easier more palatable, more easier for you to understand if I just said that I'm bisexual? And she goes, yeah. And I said, well,
Exactly.
Then there you go.
And really, my term for people in the community who understand is hetero-flexible.
Hey, I like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Because I tend to, I'm partnered with a woman right now, and she's amazing.
Okay.
She actually helped me draft what I was going to post.
Really?
I edited it a few times.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's the first time in your adult life you're letting all these people
Absolutely.
know.
And I had my wife, I had my wife read over the post because her family's fairly conservative.
Right.
And
mine too.
Yeah, and so oh God.
Well, portions, members.
Yeah, my parents are Trump supporters, and And,
I hear you.
Yeah.
Tough road there.
Tough crowd.
Well, I came from a very small town.
Yeah.
1,200 people. So being homophobic was, I think they had homophobic genes in the water.
Yeah.
That's not everybody. I'm sorry. I mean, there's some very wonderful and kind people in this town.
Yeah.
But my father is a very prominent businessman in that town. And I knew that when I made that announcement, I didn't want that to negatively affect his image.
Right.
And his, whatever. But in the end, he's fine.
Yeah.
His own integrity and what he does in that community is not going to be tainted by what I am.
And so for me, with me, like I had Amanda read it over, and she was like, "Yeah, I think you should post this," and I was like, and I actually started crying because I was like, "This is happening." Right. This is really happening. Finally, I'm gonna post this, and so I did. And like it like felt like a weight of rock, just stones just off my shoulders. And, and the thing is, like, I have a friend who's I was best man at his wedding, but he's definitely a Christian with a capital C,
Right.
And I was expecting to hear something because he boycotts. I don't know if he still does it, but he boycotts Disney because Disney supports homosexuality. They have Gay Day or whatever it was.
Sure.
Yeah, and so he I asked him later on. I said, "So what do you think of the post?" And he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "That's about as good as it's gonna get."
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too because I thought I just was throwing it in there. Right. And not the whole post was about me.
Right.
But I got I don't know, the most likes of all time of any of my posts. And I've been on Facebook since 2007.
Right.
But the really cool thing is that I had about maybe 30, 40 private messages of support and, happy for you, proud for you. And I had about 5 or 6 posts of Facebook friends that I have from that community.
Right. I'm picking my teeth. Sorry.
It's okay. We're not on video. You're good. That messaged me that they were homosexual.
Yeah.
And proud of me because they could never do that.
Right.
In that town.
Right.
So here I was growing up in 16 thinking I'm a pariah,
Yeah.
when really 30 years later I discover lots of people from that town, but they also knew I can't do that. It's a very small town, and my family reputation, and they would just
Sure.
catch a lot of shit.
I think for me, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No,
For
go ahead.
me, and I don't know, and I really try not to. I'm gonna be candid, but I'm gonna use some discretion here. The thing that actually finally inspired me to do it, not just coming out day, but I have a friend in the program, and their daughter. She's half my age, more than half my age.
Right.
She's 14. I think she just turned 15.
Yeah.
And she is absolutely confident. I mean, I'm sure she's still in that awkward age, but
Right.
she's able to be who she wants to be, and fuck everybody else,
Right.
like she clearly knows because I asked her, I said, and I sent her a message saying, are you an advocate for the LGBTQ blah 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 community,
Yeah.
or are you a member? And she goes, I'm a member. And I was just like, you know what, if a girl half my age, a young girl who's doesn't have any of the life experience that I've had, can be out and proud and sit and be comfortable in her own skin about it, why can't I be?
Right.
And that finally opened up my mind, and I was just like, it's time.
Yeah.
And I said, and I think I sent her a message saying, I don't know how you're gonna take this, but I said, I couldn't have done this without you.
Right.
And she was, she didn't really respond, and that's okay. But I needed her to know that if it hadn't been, if it weren't for her, I couldn't have done it. I don't think I would have had the
Well, my
the
term is,
inspiration.
I'm sorry, now I cut you off.
Oh, fucking Darcy.
Yeah,
No
right.
crosstalk.
Yeah, no crosstalk, right?
I have a funny story about that. But
Yeah. I think my term is everybody needs a Tom Selleck or a Laura Dern, right?
Right.
So, do you understand the reference?
Tom Selleck was in In and Out.
In and Out with
Right.
Kevin Kline.
And Laura Dern, hold on. Laura Dern was shit. No, I don't know the Laura.
Ellen.
What?
On
Ellen, that's right.
She was the
the
support.
puppy episode, right?
When Ellen came out
Okay.
on TV, Laura Dern was with her.
Gotcha.
So
She got the free toaster.
you got the free toaster.
I didn't
So
get fucking free.
in and Out, obviously Kevin Kline's this obviously gay character the whole time, but everybody in the town knows except Joan Cusack, who he's going to marry,
Right.
and himself.
Stop that dancing.
Stop the dancing. And Tom Selleck was like, dude,
Yeah.
this is who you are. Just be who you are. And in the end, they ended up getting together, right?
Right.
Or got married or what? Well,
Right.
this was pre.
Yeah, this was like 1995 or 96.
So they had a commitment ceremony, whatever you want to call
Sure.
it. So everybody needs that.
Yeah.
And for you, that was that person. I had one of my clients that I was working with that's in his 80s and still in the closet. So I thought, I don't want to be that. I don't want to end up that. I don't need to, because for a long time I was like, I am who I am. Screw you.
Yeah.
You don't need to know me.
Yeah.
But I never wanted to be that.
Right.
So we all have that Tom Selleck, that Laura Dern,
Right.
your friend's daughter, my client, that go, oh, why am I doing this?
Right.
And then you're happy.
Right. And I think part of my struggles with addiction probably were a way of, because, a long time, in my early 20s, I kind of had an an inkling,
Right.
of it. But, and I actually went as far as saying to my mom, I think maybe I am, and she was like, no, you're not. And I was like, okay, because my mom is, my mom is my mom. She's, my parents at the time, now I have a wife.
Yeah.
But my parents at the time were anything, for me, the biggest fear of anything in this world, no matter what, was displeasing my parents.
Sure.
You know?
Well, that's
And
nothing.
That was for me, like anything that I did was to make sure that my parents were not unhappy with me. And so I just pushed, I just squashed it down, and I lived with it. And the thing is, you know what? I happen to, I happen to meet the most wonderful woman in the world, who's my
Right.
wife now. And,
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm just like, because for a while I was pushing women away because I didn't know what I was.
Sure.
And I just thought anybody who loved me was just full of shit.
And I was the other way. I was pushing men away.
Right. Okay. All right.
All my adult life, from the time I was in New York.
Right.
I was a theater major when I was 18 in
Right.
Winona State. All my life, I've had members of the LGBT community going, "Hey, you know who you are,
Come
right?"
on.
And I'm like, "Get away from me."
Right.
So it wasn't any new experience to them.
Right.
A lot of people see it in us.
Right.
We're so ingrained, right? You talk
Right.
about pleasing your parents. That's pretty much everybody in the world.
Right.
They want to please their parents if they have them, and to please cultural norms.
Right.
Have you read The Four Agreements?
No.
Great book. Changed my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's it by?
Don Miguel Ruiz. He's a Toltec priest,
Okay.
which is a dead religion. It's a dead Aztec religion,
Oh, okay.
but that's carried on from father to son. And he wrote this book called The Four Agreements.
Four Agreements.
And it talks about, not taking things personally, not making assumptions.
Right.
So
I need to read that book.
we get taught this stuff.
Yeah.
And when he means agreements, it means beliefs.
Right.
So we, from birth, we make agreements. And
Right.
the first people we make agreements with are our parents.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put the fork in the light socket. Don't sing too loud. Don't be gay.
Yeah.
Right? So
Right.
that's what we're ingrained with.
Right.
So really, I don't know your friend in the program and her daughter,
Yeah.
but what I can say is if they raised her without that agreement of don't be gay,
Right.
with open-mindedness and
Yeah.
let the child be whoever they want to be,
Yeah.
then when they reach that age of concrete operational development, which
Right.
is a fancy psychology term of you're a teenager, you're trying to figure yourself
Right.
out,
Right.
and they feel supported by the role models in their life,
Yeah.
then they will be who they want to be.
Yeah.
We were not raised that way.
No, not
We were
at
not
all.
raised in families or cultures or cities
It's supported.
or sometimes states or even countries that even support that kind of behavior.
Right.
And nowadays we're so much better about that.
Right.
So
Yeah. And I just, I'm grateful that I have a wife who accepts that. Like
right.
we've agreed that if Hugh Jackman divorces his dowdy wife,
Yeah.
that was my.
Yeah.
I was talking about this with Esther, and Esther was like,
Do you have a cancer list? That's what some people call it.
a cancer list.
Yeah, 5 people that you're allowed to sleep with if you ever got cancer.
Oh no, we just have Hugh.
Just you.
Just Hugh. We've agreed that we will share him.
Okay.
We will
Yeah.
I don't know how Hugh feels about this, but
Well, he does do a lot of musical theater, so
well, here's the deal.
we
and
never
he
know.
played Peter Allen. I saw him live on Broadway,
Yeah.
and he played Peter Allen in The Boy from Oz, and it was amazing. And that was another telltale sign because like in the show he takes off his shirt, and I was like,
Yeah.
But Hugh Jackman. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm talking about with my filter, right?
Yeah.
I can recognize beauty.
Yeah.
So if Hugh Jackman takes his shirt off, I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
there's a stunning human being.
Right.
And same thing if Angelina Jolie does the same thing.
Yeah. Right.
Like I don't have that filter. Like, and I thank goodness I don't anymore.
I
get to recognize whatever the hell I want to,
and I can
and
raise
I'm okay with it.
my voice as high as I want it to be,
Yeah.
or as low as I want it to be.
Right.
And
You don't have to put those filters.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so funny. I don't talk about where I work, the actual company, but like I get called ma'am so often. I've gotten to the point where like, people will be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." At some point, sometimes I'll be like, if they're being difficult, I'll be like, "It's sir." Just to be a dick,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
and then they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'll be like, "It's okay. I've been called way worse today. You're fine."
Well, try being named Darcy and see how that goes.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, there was Pride and Prejudice. What was
Mr. Darcy, sure.
there? And
Yeah.
Bridget Jones' Diary,
Sure.
right? So
Yeah.
Darcy has.
Thanks for trying to make me feel better. I appreciate it.
I do what I can.
I've grown up with it all my life.
I do my part.
I'm okay.
Yeah, yeah.
How much time do we have left? Do we have a cutoff?
No, I never cut off.
Oh, I didn't know. We didn't talk about times.
It ends when it ends, man.
Got it.
we've had when I was interviewing Caleb Braun Schultz, he's a musician. It went on for an hour and a half.
Right.
Now, the big question is, do you want to stay for that long? And that's
I'll stay as long as you need.
All right.
We haven't even talked recovery yet.
We haven't, no. And in fact, it was funny. The first I was talking about in my intro and I like doing an intro because I get to say my piece and then we can talk about what I talk about.
Right.
Yeah. Jasper, no. Stop. All right. So, okay. That'll still going.
Great.
Yeah. So, I remember the first time you and I ever met.
So do I.
Yeah. I
Halloween
crosstalk.
dance.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. It was in a meeting.
Wasn't it at that thing at Southern Minnesota Recovery Connection at the Halloween?
That was the second time. The first time we met, we're going to pause for just a second, okay? No, that was actually the second time we met. The first time was actually at the men's meeting. It was a men's meeting.
Right.
12-step group, which we won't mention
Super Mantastic Recovery Fantastic.
It was at the Christ Church.
Yeah. Smurf.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I cross-talked, and there's this guy.
Oh man, I hope I wasn't an asshole.
You were an asshole. I'm sorry.
God.
You were just like, no, we don't cross-talk here. I was like, oh my God, I'm not coming back to this meeting.
Oh my, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But and here's the thing, like when I remember at the SMRC party, the Halloween party, I was wearing that shitty crow costume, and like you sat next to me, and I was like, oh fuck, here we go.
Yeah.
And then we actually had a really good conversation.
Sure.
And I really enjoyed talking with you. And I was like, he's pretty cool. I like this guy. So
Right. Thank you.
You redeemed yourself.
Okay. And I didn't even know I was doing it.
Exactly. And and that's why I love this podcast. It's never about it's just talking, man.
Yeah.
Like I love conversation. And I was talking in a solo episode. That's what I call them, where it's just I go on
your rants.
Fucker. No. Yes, my rants. That's
right.
That's probably closer to the truth than I care to admit. But
yes.
Yeah. I think conversations with strangers. I love conversations with strangers because it's not going to go anywhere as far as just like if you're on an airplane or on a bus, or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that the thing in Fight Club, single serving friends.
Yeah.
Friendships,
Right.
And that's why I love this podcast so much, because getting back to that, like, I mean, I hope that we hang out again.
Of course.
Yeah. But I mean,
and thank goodness for Facebook.
Thank goodness for Facebook. And, the thing is, like, it doesn't take rocket science to talk, and people are just so inhibited when it comes to having just a good a conversation. You know what I mean? And with this podcast, for me, this is me at my best, and I don't know what that says about me, but
right.
But like you
found your niche.
I found my niche, and I found my voice, and that is the thing. If there's anything this year that I'm grateful for, because we've had some shit. My wife and I, we went through some more fertility treatments that went south again.
I'm sorry about that.
It is what it is, and you just have to learn to but if you can't do it, you can't do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we're finishing up our third year of home study adopting.
Okay.
We had that failed adoption that went south. Did I tell you about that?
No.
Well,
3 years, right? You just said.
Yeah.
That just is insane to me.
Yeah. Well,
you can go out and just have anonymous sex at the age of 13 or 15 or 17 or 19, whatever,
right,
and just get pregnant irresponsibly, not good parents, probably not going to keep them.
Right.
But when responsible, productive members of society, good folks like you and your wife want to have a baby, it takes you 3 fucking years.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
Oh.
But that is not... Anyway, go ahead.
No. Well, so here's the deal. So, and I've talked about did a whole podcast about it, but it's okay. Clearly, you don't listen. I'm just joking. No.
I've listened to a few, but you're right. I haven't listened to them all.
No, it's okay. No worries. Yeah, we got we we got into the it's more like J-date now. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's like a like you know like a dating service now.
Yeah.
It used to be like a first come first serve thing. You know, when it came to adoption, where you know when the baby was available, the next person that was on the list gets that baby. You know,
Right.
now it's like the birth mom has to like be like, oh, I you know look through a book, you know of look through a bunch of profiles and be like, oh, I like that one.
Right.
Well, within a month or maybe a month it was about a month, we were in the book, and this couple picked us out, and we probably should have put up better boundaries, but we were taking, you know, this gal was living in a homeless shelter and living it with her 60-year-old boyfriend, who they had like 4 or 5 other children with, and she was and the reason she was living in the homeless shelter was because he needed his space, you know, like the rest of the week. It was just it was a fucked up situation, and so but we didn't, you know, we were most birth families don't, I don't think, or adopted families don't text the birth mom all the time. You know what I mean? I think there's like a there's a certain boundary that you put up because you're going to be getting their child, but you know it's if it's because we want an open adoption. You know,
Right.
we don't want this there to be like this thing 18 years or 13 years down the road where like you lied to me. You know, like
Right.
you know we want the birth mom to have some role in the child's life.
Sure.
And and with the adoption agency, you make an agreement with, you know, with the birth family. Well, somehow or another, you know, it got to the point where she went into false labor, and like we felt the heartbeat. We, you know, like all this emotional stuff. We got the crib ready. We had the car seat ready to go.
Wow.
You know, and then like 2 days later, after they realized it was false labor, she sends my wife a text in the middle of the day, and I'll try not to get emotional, saying, so and we'll just call him Joe. Joe and I have decided to keep the baby. Hope you're not mad. Hope you're not hurt. You know, and you know, yeah, that's basically what she said. We're keeping the baby. Hope you're not hurt.
Wow.
They sent that to my wife in the middle of the work day, and I don't know how my wife, who's a pediatric occupational therapist,
Yeah.
works with children, how she was able to hold on to that and keep that internalized for, I don't know, 5 more hours and not say anything to me, you know, and I'm glad she didn't, because the thing is, if she did, I would have had to leave. But we have the ability at my work to flex, where you can like leave early and then just make it up later in the week. And my wife, like I said to her, you know, I'm thinking about flexing, but you know, I'm not. And she goes, "Can you please flex?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, something's wrong." And so, you know, I put my Bluetooth earpiece in, and I'm walking out the door, and she tells me, and she's just bawling. And we just thought maybe it was a terrible misunderstanding, because you know, there's a lot of,
Sure.
you know, with you know, she had the birth mom had some cognitive relay issues. Let's put it that way, okay? From an accident, really a bad accident when she was younger.
Sure.
So she wasn't all with it, and so basically, they they decided to keep the baby, and we still had an appointment with our attorney to do the see if we could turn things around. And the adoption agency basically, well, we have to pay for the attorney for the adoption for the birth parents. We have to pay for that, and pay for their maternity clothes and stuff like that, and we did that. And the lawyer that we, you know, that they basically got from the adoption agency, they usually are supposed to give them like gift cards to go towards, you know, maternity clothing through like with specific stores that like Target or Walmart to get maternity clothes.
Sure.
But they didn't do that. They gave them cash. They gave the birth mother cash. So 3 or 4 days after, actually I think it was like a week after we got, you know, the things went south, I see that birth mom's opened up this whole new Facebook profile. And in the profile, because I'm a Facebook creeper, I'm not afraid. Not ashamed to admit it. She's holding up a wad of cash, looking really proudly up at the camera, and just smiling, really, you know. And I'm just like, and that is, and that, and then like 2 months later, she goes, "Hey, I just want you to know that the baby's fine and blah blah blah, and it was really nice to meet your family." And I'm just like,
fuck you.
"Yeah, exactly. Get fucked." I said, "Yeah, I didn't. You know what? I didn't even respond. I was just like,
good for you."
And to her, in my in her defense, at one point when I was in the bargaining phase, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I sent her a message saying, I don't care, that you're keeping the baby at this, I did, but
right.
But let me know if the baby's healthy,
Sure.
Because I still wanted that little,
bit to hang on to.
Yeah. So, but 2 or 3 months later, she's like, I really enjoyed meeting your family, and I'm just like, no, fuck you, go get fucked, but I didn't do that. I just blocked. I think I blocked her, and I just said no, and just be the bigger person and don't respond,
Right.
And I didn't, and
so it's all an experience, though, right?
It is, yeah, it's all an experience, and to be completely frank, like I didn't think I had another one in me, as far as doing another experience like this,
Sure.
And we've waited another year, and we have to pay another $500 for a home study and another $140 something for the Adam Walsh, background check.
Right.
It all costs money. I mean, we're in deep debt. And I said to my wife, I said, do we want to do this again? I mean, can we, do you really want to? She was like, Hal, we have so much money invested in this.
Have you thought about fostering?
That's where I'm going to. We're thinking about, because at first we just want a baby. We want a baby. But the thing is, in the foster system, there are parents that have already signed away their parental rights, and you can still have foster children, and they're kind of almost, I don't want to say they're ready to be adopted, but they're, I don't know the ins and outs of it, and I think I'd be doing it a service to the system.
I only bring it up because I have a friend. She lives in New York, and she fosters a brother and a sister.
Okay.
I forget, like 5 and 3,
mm-hmm.
and the mother of those children had another baby.
Right.
And wanted to put it up for adoption, and so my friend said, "Well, can I foster that baby too? And the baby will be with her brother and sister."
Yeah.
And they said, "Great." So now she has a baby.
Wow.
And then I think it takes a while between fostering and adoption, but she's got a family.
Yeah.
She loves them.
Yeah.
There's different ways to get there.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. I think we've gotten to that point where we're just like, get over yourselves. There are so many different ways to have a family, and we tried. We tried, like I said, and we've tried many different fertility treatments, and
That'd be rough.
Yeah.
The peaks and valleys, right? The hope, followed by the despair.
Yeah.
Followed
and
by
then there's the humiliation of having to jerk off in a room. I wrote a whole piece about it.
See, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Well, here's the thing. I usually it's just so funny. Like they were like, there's a DVD in there for you if you need it. And I'm like, I was watching. I was like, this is just awful.
Yeah.
Like, what? How, do they really think that this is like from like the 70s?
Okay,
like,
now you're in my territory.
Yeah.
That's my kind of porn is 70s porn.
70s porn with the.
Okay, I'm not going to say any more than that.
Okay, all right. Aardvark.
But
Aardvark.
Right.
All
no,
right.
I mean I grew up in the 70s, so that's all I'll say. But anyway.
Okay. Yeah. No. And the whole room is just covered in plush towels, and I'm like, okay, this is a weird thing. Like this is not a net. Like and the whole idea of just like I wrote the opening line of the piece I wrote was like, I don't care who you are, what you do, where you do it. There's no you will never have an experience of jerking off in somebody else's room.
Right.
Like it was just so weird because I'd be like,
especially knowing that they know you're in there doing it.
Exactly. Like it's like and making an appointment for it.
Yes.
It's just like can I come over there and can I come over and masturbate, please? Can I come over and do that?
Is this a good time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the cup ready?
Can I give you my sperm? Like it was just and they're just like okay, yes, yeah.
So I'm surprised about. Well, I suppose there has to be some sort of, I don't know, temperature thing. But when I had my vasectomy,
Okay.
then you have to do like 2 or 3 follow-up samples to make
really?
sure that it's all completely out of your, the sperm count's down
Right.
to be able to,
Right.
continue with a sex life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
So I would do samples at home.
Yeah.
And then they had said, you have like 30 minutes to get it to the clinic.
Right.
And
I
then
did it
I would
at
just
the clinic.
So I don't know if in the case of fertility, maybe they need,
Well,
need a fresh sample right now.
It was. Well, the thing is, like, I think you need like 10 million to 14 million good ones. Good sperms. And I had like the first time it was like 0. whatever, and then the next one was like 1.3. And I remember, and I don't give a shit. I'll talk about it again. Like I remember the moment when like we were in the doctor's office and they basically were like trying to dance around it and I was just like they were I could tell that they were trying to like just not say it's you, and I was like I just finally said, look, just is it me? It's me, right? And they were like, your count is just too low. And then I just remember like the doctor went out of the room for a minute and I just started like, I wasn't sobbing, but I was just like, I was just trying to keep myself composed. And then like I got to the car and then Amanda was crying and I was kind of crying. And then I don't know what happened, but like what finally got all the waterworks out. We were watching an episode of Scandal. Which
I was thinking of Cheers.
No, for me it was
season 10 of Cheers. Sam and Kirstie Alley are trying to get pregnant.
Oh, really?
Okay, they're having problems, and she goes and gets checked and figures out it's not her.
Yeah.
So then she comes into the bar and it's like, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's not me.
Yeah. Well, with me,
but it has to be emasculating, right?
It is
to get that information.
It is, and it wasn't even so like, oh, I'm not a man anymore. It was more like, I can't give the woman that I love the one thing in the world that she's been wanting all her life.
Right.
That's like the one thing. I mean, she's wanted. Obviously, she wants new leggings like every other week. But
right.
But like I couldn't give her the thing that she's wanted to be all of her life. And to me, that was the hardest part. But we were watching an episode of Scandal, and it was like there was a scene where I don't remember. It had nothing to do with anything that was going on. But like but it was a sad moment in the show, and I just started. That's where the switch hit, and I just started bawling, and I was like I'm sorry, I can't. I just started sobbing. I'm sorry, I can't give you a baby. Like, I'm sorry. And at one point, I was like really scared to that she was gonna leave me. And at one point, we were laying in bed at one night, and she goes, "You don't think I'm gonna leave you, right?" And I'm like, "Well, I thought about it, and it's crossed my mind." She was like, "I'll never leave you."
Right.
And that almost as much as the whole bisexuality thing was another lift.
She's a keeper.
She is a keeper, and me is that's still it's debatable.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I think she's just happy when I actually go out and shovel without her telling me to. I think that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like her.
Well, I think of an analogy. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's no. I was just gonna say for her, like the when she first met me, she was like, "Do you like sports? No. Do you play sports? No. Yeah, you're good."
That's all it took, right?
That's all it took. That was like her watermarks. Yeah. That was like her litmus test. Of
no jocks allowed.
No jocks allowed. Yeah, she just didn't want to have to deal with like Sunday. Monday. Is it Sunday night football or foot? See, this is why
Thursday night, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, too many nights.
In your opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion, yes. Yes. The only sports,
I'm a football guy.
Yeah, the only sports I actually like, and I've talked about this, is boxing, and I think the reason for that is because I like the idea of two people who are clearly better looking than me just beating the living shit out of each other, and I don't know why. I just get this glee, and I don't want
boxing or MMA.
Boxing.
Yeah, see, I'm an MMA guy. Yes. If I watch it, I'll turn it on, and if it's on, I'll watch it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Boxing is not.
Yeah.
That's why they call it a boxing match, and then they call MMA a fight.
Yeah.
Because that's more like a fight.
Yeah, it probably is.
Anyway.
It is. Yeah.
Violent. But I wanted to just apologize again for that crosstalk thing.
Yeah.
Because you brought that up, and then we kind of went off on a different tangent. I'm not really involved. My theory of recovery is evolved into kind of a whole cool different place.
Yeah.
And so, you know, what's the term? I can't say it without saying the fellowship's name.
Oh.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People that are hardcore.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
no,
reference.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
The old timers.
Yeah. Well,
or not even old timers, but
long timers. I like to call them long timers
yeah.
because just because you have some time under your belt doesn't mean you're
Yeah,
old, right? But I used to be one of those guys. I was fiercely protective of my program.
Right.
And I was like, you can't use this terminology. You don't crosstalk in this meeting. And I'm completely 180 on that.
Yeah.
Like sober is a word that's a regular in my vocabulary.
Right.
And that's not a word in our fellowship that people want. I'm like, I cannot understand it.
Yeah.
So I've evolved. It's going to sound egotistical. I don't want it to sound egotistical.
We all evolve, man.
But I wouldn't consider myself a 12-step guy anymore.
Okay. All right.
And I have some fundamental things that I don't agree with in 12-step programming.
Right.
And I can blame school, and I can blame becoming a social worker and a therapist through grad school with that, because our focus is to strength.
Yeah.
Is strength perspective.
Right.
So, and harm reduction. Right? So I don't, there's some things, I'll just name a few. For instance, there's a lot of traditions I don't agree with.
Right.
One being that we don't take outside money. I think that's dumb.
Yeah.
I think the fellowship can be expanded, and program and opportunities for addicts can be expanded exponentially if we were allowed to do a public fundraiser.
Right.
The fact that we don't, I don't agree with.
Right.
I don't agree with surrender.
Right.
I don't agree with I can't, we can. My phrase is I can with your help.
Right. No,
there's a difference.
I get that.
I don't like the words can't and won't and never.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we need to surrender to our addiction. I think we need to get help with it. Mm-hmm. But to me, and then there's another phrase in the traditions, or, one of the opening literatures that says, we tried religion and psychology to no avail.
Yeah.
And I'm a psychologist.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that's not my degree, but psychotherapy is what I do.
Right. That clashes with everything.
And so I come from a very, I guess now it would be an easier way of smart recovery.
Yeah.
Because that's cognitive based.
Sure.
Because in my practice I use cognitive behavioral therapy.
Right.
Which is basically, what are you thinking, right?
Is it like the lizard and the dog, the mammal, and then the lizard, or anything?
No.
That's what my shrink is. He has like a triangle with like, this is the lizard, this is the animal, and this is like the human or something like that. I don't know. He pulls out a lot of anyway.
So, and this is gonna not make me friends either, but I think the God concept, to me, in most instances, no, I'm not gonna say it for other people. For me, promotes laziness.
Okay.
And so the way I say that is, a lot of people have struggles in their life, right? Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And so, instead of working on it, they'll go, okay, God will take care of that for me.
Yeah.
Let go, let God that's a ridiculous statement for me.
I hear you.
Do it with God's help, right?
Yeah.
If you believe in a higher power.
Right.
To me, a higher power is a support mechanism.
Right.
I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And I can't find a job, and I can't do this. Please God, give me the strength to do that.
Yeah.
But God isn't going to magically make a job appear, and He's not going to magically make you clean.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
So
I
don't discount anybody's belief in God.
Right.
But in a 12-step program, it's all God.
Yeah.
And so overall,
yeah,
I believe that things can change for the better. Mm-hmm. And in the 12-step philosophy, we've been doing this for 100 years.
Yeah.
And even in the traditions, it says, do not change things.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for a long time, and we're going to get in trouble, and you'll get in trouble if you try to have a new idea.
Right.
And so I don't like being a part of any organization like that.
Yeah. I would never join a group that would have me as a member.
Yeah, Mr. Marks.
Yeah.
So
sorry, but no.
Groucho, not Carl.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Don't get me going on the conflict theory and socialism.
We'll
that's a whole nother blog, right? Pod.
Yeah.
So anyway,
But
it's been a struggle for me because I was an active member in my 12-step program, and I still miss a lot of those folks and
fellowship.
The fellowship side. And I realized that the last maybe 10 years of going to meetings, I had no connection or concept with the readings or the philosophy of the program. I was just going and sitting through it so I could go have coffee with my friends.
Yeah.
And my own personal program is strength based, and it's cognitive based, and it's not based on abstinence.
Right.
I'm 100% abstinent.
Right.
But I work with so many people. I think the biggest danger we have is telling addicts, you have to get clean.
Right.
If you use in any form or fashion, you're a failure.
Right.
And so the 12-step philosophy is, well, keep going. Oh, you relapse, start over.
Yeah.
And I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I think that's defeating, and it defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do.
Right. You know, and I'm guilty of, like I know people in the program who tout themselves as being clean and sober, which is fine.
Yeah.
That I happen to know are drinking, and to me that's not okay.
No, it's not okay.
Yeah,
that's definitely not okay.
Yeah, and to say on to post something so publicly on Facebook, about that they're this time clean and knowing that they're drinking or whatever, to me it's an insult to the people who actually are trying to lead a life of abstinence.
I get the deception piece and the betrayal piece of that, but in the end, the 12-step program says the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using.
Yeah.
We don't care how much clean time you have, but really, in a way, they do.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's what I had a hard time with.
And
I went to school,
yeah,
and I'm going to grad school. I'm working 40 hours, and I'm going to grad school in the library every night and class Friday and Saturday. And I couldn't for like 2 years go to meetings.
right.
And I went back to a meeting, and I didn't get, hey, it's been great to see you. I got, where the hell have you been?
Yeah.
What are you too good for us now?
Yeah.
Or you must have relapsed.
Right.
And so this whole concept, if you're not going to a weekly or bi-weekly or 2-3 meetings a week, if we don't see you, you've failed. You're out in the world, relapse somewhere. I struggled with that.
Yeah, I struggle. I had, for a while, I was in between sponsors, and I found a sponsor, and I don't get out to meetings much either, and it's not for a lack of like not wanting to go. I mean, I truly do like going to meet. There's one fellowship that I used to go to frequently, and it got to the point where like it got so like romper roomish that like I'd get more frustrated leaving than I did going in. And that's not, when you go to a meeting, that's the last thing you want to feel. You want to feel better after you
There's better meetings than others, right? There's different
absolutely.
Recovery, and you just got to find the one that works for you. And listen, I'm not here to bash this 12-step program.
Absolutely not.
It worked for me. It saved my life,
sure.
Right? But I'm an evolutionist. I like to evolve.
Things change.
And one of what drove me professionally to get into this field to help other people was this whole statistic of only 10% of people make it. Right? Mm-hmm. First of all, being a social scientist, I don't know where you're getting your numbers from because you're an anonymous fellowship. Who's doing the research project?
Right.
Nobody's filling out surveys on the way out the door like, how long have you been clean?
Yeah.
So we don't know what the heck those numbers are. But if they're true, that's a 90% failure rate, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So I wanted to get into, I'm not here to bash the 10% in 12-step programs or other programs that are staying clean. I wanted to work out and find, at least 30, 40, 50% of the 90% that aren't there.
Yeah.
And I found that when I work with folks on strengths perspective, and let's do some harm reduction. Are you a better person today than you were yesterday or last week? If you're using crack and you're under the bridge and you're homeless or meth and your teeth are all falling out of your head and your family's abandoning you, you have nothing to your name. And then a year later, you're in therapy weekly, you've got a job, you've got even an apartment, and you smoke a bowl on the weekends, that's success.
Yeah.
That's a person who's rebuilt their life.
Yes.
And in 12-step programs, nope, they're still an addict, they're still using, they're still in denial.
Okay.
And so that's what I don't buy into.
Right.
you can achieve balance in your life.
Right.
You and I, well, I can't speak for you, but I speak for me. I couldn't.
Right.
I can't just have one bowl.
I can't. No.
I'm
exactly.
screwed.
Yeah.
I have to stay 100% abstinent. But out there in the world, there's a whole lot of people that just need to try to achieve some balance, and sometimes they can still use doing it.
Yeah.
And if I try to discount them as a professional and say, well, unless you're 100% abstinence, don't even come into to do therapy with me.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Right.
You're getting rid of a whole bunch of people that need help.
Right. And you know, and you know what? I'm gonna just say it right now to my audience, the people who are going to be listening to this. You know what? He's right, and he being you, Darcy. Because I did a whole thing. I was like, nope. If you're using, you are not clean. You are not sober. You are using. And you know what?
Right.
You know what? There's not. It shouldn't be black and white. There can be a little gray. And now that you know, and sometimes, you know, I have to be taken off my pedestal. You know, but I do know that there are people that you know that because here's the thing. I'll go with this. I'll go take it in this route. I know, like, there have been periods of time, because I'm in a fellowship for food as well, you know,
right.
which we won't say,
but
you get the picture, you know, and that you know, that's a whole other, that's a hard one, and the reason being is
you have to eat,
right? Exactly. You know,
can't just stop eating.
Yeah. Like from to me, it's like, you know, when it comes to drug and alcohol, you got to keep the tiger in the cage at all times, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about food, you got to walk it 3 times a day.
Yeah,
you got to
times a day.
Yep.
And you can only walk it a certain amount of miles.
Right. Exactly.
Well, didn't Mark Lundholm say it best? I don't know if you've heard him quote this. You know who Mark Lundholm is, right?
Exactly.
Recovery comedian.
Oh, okay. No.
Maybe you hear a lot of people saying "first thought wrong."
Yeah.
That's another one of his brilliant concepts.
Okay.
But he struggled with food too, and he said, "I never ate because I was hungry. I only ate because I felt empty."
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. No.
Isn't that just amazing?
Yeah.
Because when you're struggling with that.
Right. And here's the thing, like, I fell off the deep end with food, like, you know, like, just and it really, like, I was just like, oh, it's just food. It's just fine. But the thing is, at the end of the day, addiction is a disease, in whether it's the food or the booze or the smoke in the bowl, which I can't do any of it. I mean, you know, those are symptoms. Those are symptoms of the problem. And Absolutely. The thing is, I learned very quickly, just with food, that there is absolutely no fucking way I could take another drink or smoke a bowl. I gained so much weight, and I just was eating, like, it wasn't even like eating because I was hungry. It was eating because I just needed that high, that sugar rush, you know, that I just needed to just fill myself, because I was empty, you know? Right. And we the whole, between the failed adoption, the fertility treatments, you know, all this shit, you know, it finally added up, and thank God I didn't drink, because there have been times where I've thought to myself, maybe I could have a drink, maybe I could smoke. Sure. And the thing is that, I mean, don't get me wrong, food is, you know, it can be just as deadly to certain people as, you know, heroin or whatever. It's all about how much you do it. But here's the thing, it showed me that it's easy to fall off the deep end. If you're an addict, you can fall off the deep end with anything. Gambling, sex, pornography, whatever you.
No, you don't put pornography in that category?
No, it's okay. No,
I'm kidding. So what I guess what I want, you know, your listeners to know is, because of this process that I've gone through personally, I don't want people to think that I'm bashing a 12-step program. It doesn't fit with me in what I view my recovery as, and as a mental health professional.
Right.
I'm in the realm of chemical dependency, gambling, sex, food, work, whatever those addictions can be, are secondary to what I believe is always an underlying mental health issue. Right. It could be whatever, past trauma. It could be, you know, chemical imbalance like I have. I'm bipolar. I can't therapize that away.
Oh my God! Every Saturday night, my wife and I get our pills down from the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
I just have to accept it.
Yeah,
I've been taking medications for my bipolar for 15 years. I've been going to a therapist regularly for that time. I go into my psychiatrist. I have a spiritual belief system that I don't need to identify here, but I do.
Sure.
And I have my own recovery system.
Yeah.
And I'm a Freemason. We haven't even really talked about that. That's a whole other subject. But that's a part of me that helps me give back to my community. So that's my system.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, we don't need to be pigeonholed into what your system is, whether there's a God in there or not, whether it's abstinence in there or not. Are you a better person? Have you achieved balance in your life? That's what I help people with in my personal and professional life.
You know, and the thing I've learned, and we'll cut this off here shortly.
Yeah, we could go for another hour.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there's this line from Brokeback Mountain: if you can't fix it, you got to learn how to stand it. You know? And that line has resonated with me because the thing is, I don't think there's anything that. For a while, I thought I had to fix myself.
Right.
You know, there had to be some way to fix myself. You know, but now it's a matter of just learning just to live in my skin. Yeah. And I think that's part of the whole human condition is just, I mean, that's the whole, almost the battle everybody has to face at some point is learning to just be okay in your own skin, you know? And that took me 36 years, you know? Actually 36 and a half, but anyway.
Yeah. You know? Well, and for me, completely 45 years. Yeah. Before I, you know, and we're not done, of course.
We're not done.
We got a lot more mistakes to make.
Yeah. Well, man, thank you for being on the show.
Hang in there, man.
Yeah.
I know, you know, things are going to come through for you with the baby thing. Yeah. Or I hope for you.
You know what? That's all we can do is hope, right?
All right,
man.
Thanks. Peace.
And we will. And that, my friends, was Darcy Wennes. Amazing guy. Just a really wise soul who's been through ups and downs in his life and is just, you know, it was an amazing experience talking with him. And you may have heard me shout the word aardvark, and you're probably like, what the fuck is he talking about? Aardvark was our safe word, which sounds really weird, but apparently Darcy has a tendency to overshare things, and he said if I say anything, if I get close to possibly oversharing something, shout the word aardvark. That'll be our word. So that that was our moment in the show where things just were about to go upside down, and I was like, aardvark. So yeah, but no, Darcy, very just a really compelling conversation, and just I really enjoyed it. And hey, we've broken the record. We broke. That was like an hour and 37 minutes. We've never gone and had an episode that long, and we covered so much stuff. And yet there's so much more stuff to cover. So I'm hoping he'll come back. But and as far as like some of the things we discussed, as far as abstinence from alcohol and drugs and finding balance, I think we're on the same page. We may not agree on all things, and I really did appreciate the apology as far as at that particular 12-step group. I mean, that meant a lot to me. But Darcy is an amazing guy, and and the fact that we were able to comfortably talk about our journeys, our sexualities, it's just a testament to how comfortable he can make me feel. And usually it's my role as the host of this show to make my guests comfortable. So kudos and hats off to Darcy for making me feel comfortable talking about it. But he's a therapist. So did I get therapied? Did he therapy the fuck out of me? God damn it, Darcy. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Well, anyway, guys, I hope y'all have a good weekend here. Just, what? Be who you are. Be who you are and do what you do and just be you. And, do it one day at a time. All right? Just one day at a time.